It's time to go. Okay.
New Vision Media, 242 to the world. New Vision Media.
Wasting time is over.
New Vision
Make sure to share the link.
242 to the world. New Vision Media.
Alright, let go.
New Vision Media, where the sound make a difference, also including Bohemian Van Life. New experience on the streets, collecting views and opinions. Business artist platform for the small man with great ideas through resilience. New Vision Media,
That's newvision242.com.
242 to the world. New Vision Media,
Also, New Vision 242 Instagram.
242 to the world. New Vision Media,
And New Vision Aid Them at Facebook.
242 to the world. New Vision Media.
Check us out.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of this show is not necessarily the views and opinion of New Vision Media Management. If you have any discrepancies or concerns, you can reach us at 822-9563. That's 822-9563.
So let's talk.
In this society where we're stereotyped, men are always hated, always wrong, and can never do right. That's what the world told us, and everybody agrees while we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Now, brothers, let me ask you this: who's there for you when it's time to air it out and talk? Brother, who's hearing you? They already paint a picture that is us against everyone else, but I'm telling you, don't be against yourself.
So let's talk. If I'm here for you and you're here for me, strength in unity. So let's talk. If I am around, I'm gonna build you up, never break you down. So let's talk. When they ask you, what can a brother do for me? So let's talk. You can help me be the best man I can be.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Men Show. Show for men, by men. The goal is to educate our young brothers and the older ones who interested in learning, because it's a little difficult to bend a tree, after they reach a certain age, she gets brittle and she breaks, right? But the goal is to try to educate and edify our young men so that we can hopefully have ourselves a better future. Tonight's topic will be on financial literacy. There are many people who are not financially literate. This is by design. And if you're not somebody who takes it upon yourself to go in there and find this knowledge, the chances of you having it are slim. So I have with me tonight Brother Keith Dean, right? Brother Lawrence Sweeting, Vamp, all right, to assist me on this topic, because this would be the area, all right? Now, I've gone out and done my own searching and researching, and that's how I was able to have my businesses and do what I have to do. But these are brothers who are in that field, and Mr. Dean, this is actually his job. This is what he does, okay? So I wanted to make sure to have an expert on the show to cover this topic, all right? Now, for those who would have been to going to St. Augustine's College, he would be an alumni, okay, of SAC, all right? He's been to colleges, he has his degrees, right? Been deputy general manager for the government, NASA Flight Services. He's in the security industry, tourism, tour, transportation industry, assistant director of security facilities and quality assurance and safety manager in the cinema entertainment industry. So that's a mouthful, right? So,
That's a lot.
Right? Yeah, so the brother's been around, right? He is one of the volunteers for this new entity called Men of Today, Men of Tomorrow, all right, Mott Squared. It's a very powerful organization. And the goal is exactly what I spoke about, to groom and gear our young men to become greater men. And he deals with financial literacy. He started him off with that from third grade. You understand what I'm saying? So this is a serious pathway that he's on. He has a wealth of knowledge. All right. He started his own business. All right. It's a business consultancy and personal development company. All right, and the company's been existing for about 5 years, focuses on helping businesses and individuals define, refine, and unleash their full potential by offering consultancy, training, and seminar services. Right, so I'd like for everyone to welcome Brother Keith Dean. You know, we appreciate you're making an effort to be on the show, brother.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here and be able to share a little bit of what I know in the short space of time to help people understand the value of being financially literate
Yes.
in our society today, and especially for our young men, especially, and if I mean for the youth in general.
For the youth in general.
For the youth in general.
You know, but you know, our young men, we've been given the task of leadership. All right, we're supposed to be the head. We're supposed to be the leaders. So you want to make sure that the people who are responsible for doing that job have that information.
Exactly.
You know. So, Brother Vamp, because you're into the IT, but you're also somebody who is well versed in our financial literacy and these kinds of areas. You know, give them some info.
Yeah, man. I'm into IT. I do IT for almost like about 20 plus years now. So in doing technology and things in technology, it always comes along with financial literacy, because you need to make payment systems and different things like that and be able to pay remotely, wirelessly, and, different things like that. So connecting your platforms to banking systems and all these different things to be able to make e-commerce sites is something that you definitely need. So in doing so, it also challenges you to go ahead and find out exactly what money is sometimes, because you need to know exactly what's connecting and what people are using to pay with. So which will lead you along the lines of right now something very popular, cryptocurrency. Then you also have credit cards, debit cards, all those different forms of payment. PayPal, being able to transfer money from one account to the next. It's like a bank, but it's almost like something that keeps you safe. So if you want to pay for something and you're not going to necessarily get the services, PayPal would help you to be able to get that money back. If you were to pay for something and you didn't receive the services properly, or get some broken devices or something like that in the mail, then you can request the money back. Okay. So, things like that. So IT, it actually is more beneficial to know something about financial stuff if you're going to be able to make these platforms yourself for people.
People need to understand the connections.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into it. Brother Dean, what is financial literacy?
Well, financial literacy, how I best like to suggest, to say that it is that it's the ongoing trying to gain knowledge. There are three different aspects of financial literacy. Okay, that individuals should focus on. Okay, that's knowledge. Okay, having a knowledge of the financial rules and applications. Having to adjust your behaviors. Financial literacy is also about behavioral. Okay, behavioral modifications to yourself. Okay, and so it's important that you understand that the key aspects of financial literacy is just not having a knowledge of, like, not 2 + 2 is 4 is nothing to you if you're not going to apply it in your life.
Understood.
Okay, so understanding financial literacy has to do with applications in and of itself. So defining it pretty much suggests that you need to have a knowledge of it. You need to understand how to apply it in your life and how to make sure that it does change your life and your family's life.
For the better.
For the better, not just about you.
Yes.
But you have to consider your family going down.
So true financial literacy is about making certain that your children, your children's children, and their children's children are going to be able to benefit from finances.
Exactly.
Because if you're saying that you're looking to be truly financially literate, as you said, it's not selfish, it's selfless. Okay, so this is what we can accomplish out of this, what we are going to be able to garner.
Right. The goal here, you mentioned the men of today, men of tomorrow. The goal with that program, as it should be with all of us, is that consider financial literacy as a gate to have you on the path to generational wealth.
Okay.
Okay? Because if you don't have the knowledge, and you could be, you're just wondering. But once you have that knowledge with you, then you're now on the path to building financial generational wealth. Because there are other aspects of generational wealth, like spiritual and physical and all the different aspects, mental, educational. All of these are wealths that we need to be passing on to our children as they sit around the table, as we sit around the table eating dinner and stuff.
You make a very valid point there, because people don't understand how important it is to pass these things down. There's an old African saying that every time an elder dies, a library burns to the ground, right? If you leave this earth and you didn't pass on that knowledge, you did your entire family a disservice. And we've gone away from the days of the grandchildren sitting at Grammy and Granddaddy them feet and getting all of this information, right? Because when we're talking about, let's say, spirituality, right? To know where they came from and why, what got them through, why they believe what they believe, and why the family have these set of morals and values. These things aren't being passed on. That's the reason why we don't have morals and values inside our children now. We don't allow our children now, okay? Because no principles are being passed on. So as he's saying, generational wealth is not just the financial aspect. It's every aspect. It's every single aspect.
It's a wealth of knowledge, right? And it's understandable. A lot of people nowadays, families don't work the same way. So because families don't work the same way and dad is barely home, he's always out trying to see if he can make some money.
If he's there.
Right.
At all.
If he's there at all, to try and support the family. And the reason why we work so hard is because we chase money. And the problem about chasing money, you'll never reach it. You have to take the money and use it as a tool, because money is a tool. If you try to chase the money, you're always going to be tired. You're always going to be, in a place where either your health is going to fail, which is a part of your wealth. Because if you're unhealthy, you're going to spend more money trying to see if you could get better to stay alive.
Right.
Right. So I think a lot of the times, if we would teach our children that staying healthy, having a good exercise routine, and learning different things about keeping yourself sustainable, it would help you with your wealth, so that you don't chase money, but all of the money would stay within the household.
See, but even that we've lost, because how many communities you go in to now and you see the children running up and down through the corner, whether they playing parking. Hear me now, okay?
Yeah.
Playing some pocket, okay? Or basketball, or spinning top, or shooting marbles, or whatever, hopscotch and whatnot.
Right.
How often do you go through the areas and you actually see these type of things? So even the health issue is a problem, because that wealth of knowledge isn't being passed on.
Right.
All right. So, Brother Dean, what is money?
What is money? Wow, that's a deep question. Because if you money is like our brother said, it is a tool. It is a tool for us. Let me correct that. It should be a tool.
Yes.
For us to use to benefit us and our families in ways that will enhance our individual growth. We use money for transactional purposes, right? That's what we use money for. It's a transaction. It's a means to transact, to do a transaction. Without it, We wouldn't be here today with
With the system that we have now, you can't maneuver if you don't
right.
have some
And
money.
so you need money to transact, to do transactional services. So, but why you use the money and how you use the money is what is of value. And I think that is what is lost in our race generation. Okay? And we seem to not have garnished and how important it is to use it to bring about generational wealth.
But have we been taught?
And that is the key. I think, you know, I was just thinking about this the other day, that even though we were taught how important sacrifices is, okay, my mother just shared with me a story just the other day, or 2 days ago. You know, we were sitting down and she was talking, and she said how she was living in Inagua, and then she came to Nassau to live with her grandmother, okay, and all the while that she was here, okay, there was sacrifices being made as far as them not having wearing the Sweetwater tennis, and you know what I mean, not having good clothing and stuff like that.
Hand-me-downs and whatnot
Right.
as well, yes.
But when it was time for her to go to college, right, the grandmother brought out this big jar, this big old jar, filled with money.
Yeah.
Right? And so that she didn't have to worry about going off to college. Okay? And I think nowadays, and even though she said when she saw that, she was a little upset because she started saying, well, man, I didn't have to.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, be dealing with that.
Right.
But I just wonder, too, if grandma had a knowledge of financial literacy, she'd have been able to be making more money with that money.
Yes, because instead of just saving, and that's the part, and that's another part that we have to come to, because we have to understand that there are different aspects, okay, when it comes to finances. So you just saving alone and you're not investing, that doesn't truly benefit you.
No.
Especially if it's in the jar, because that can't make more money.
Yeah, saving money is not really a benefit to you. It's a crutch, because what happens is if you save your money, inflation goes up every year. So as inflation goes up, the cost of living also rises, and that means that the money that you save is no longer the same value that it was a few years ago.
There you go.
So it'll be like how people invest in gold, right? So if you invest in gold from way back when, then right now gold, like I think a kilo of gold is about around $42,000 each or something like that. But if you had a kilo of gold back then, it probably would be a value of maybe about $10,000 or so, right? But as you see, gold rises because it's a high price commodity. But if you actually take the paper money and save that, it'll decrease in value every year. So that $10,000 you would have saved would now today be like maybe about $200-300 because of how much the paper has actually decreased in value, given the fact that, you know, central bank has to now issue on demand every time the government asks them to print a certain amount of the paper currency. Then what they do is they say, okay, for every dollar, we're going to charge you about 10% interest on each dollar to, you know, bring it back to the World Bank. So now all of this is going to cause inflation, and your savings will no longer be something valid. So,
And yeah, that's so true. We tend not to consider the our inflation rate, and as we listen to our present government, okay, what our inflation rate is of our country, you know, and the trajectory, it's good. It's good because it's expected to be in the mid to low twos in the upcoming years, and that's good. That's very good. But like our brother said, if the banks only paying you 2% interest on your savings, then it don't serve you no purpose to have your money in the bank.
Some banks don't give you no
Interest.
interest.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it serves you no interest. So you need to, and this is where understanding financial literacy comes into play. You need to go to your bank, find out what products that they have that gives you a higher interest rate, okay, than the
Average savings.
average, not just the average savings, but the national inflation rate.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
the inflation rate. So if you invest, let's say you're looking at retiring, okay, and that's what we should all be looking at doing, right?
Right.
We should looking at a retirement fund, and we should start as early as possible, okay, or a college fund, starting as early as possible, okay. If we decide we want to invest, let's say whichever bank you go to, whichever bank is your choice, you should be doing a budget for yourself,
Right.
to understand what your expenses levels are. If you go to a bank and they have a product that is offering you a 10% per annum,
Right.
get back, okay, for your money, you have to consider now, hey, there's a 3% inflation rate, so you're only getting 7%.
Right.
Technically, you're only getting 7%,
7%,
right? But that's better than the 0% or the
Exactly.
2%.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? So you may want to look at saying, well, listen, is this beneficial for me?
Right.
Okay, for the long term.
But if you don't have the information about financial literacy, these are not questions that you're going to ask because they're not going to tell you, this is what you need to ask me.
they
They're not
ain't
going to
gonna
do that.
because-
Okay? Because the thing about it is, especially for the banks that do not give you any interest rates, right? You actually losing because you have to pay them. For holding this, you got to pay them every time you
All
withdraw
the fees.
something
All the different fees.
from the ATM, whatever.
Yeah.
So you're losing money, because you're not gaining. So it would be wiser for you to take at least some of that, even if you wanted to do saving, go to some place like, say, let's say Aleno, right? And invest in some
Awesome
stocks.
company, by the way.
Yeah, understand what I'm saying? And invest in some stocks. And mind you, hey, y'all need to pay me for that ad, right? right? But the fact of the matter is that you need to sit down with people, and this is the reason why consultancy companies like Mr. Dean exist. So you can actually sit down, do a consult, and say, well, because here's what we need to understand. If you are somebody who is interested in the stock exchange, right, and it's a $25,000 buy-in for those who didn't know, there's a minimum, right? Now, though, you actually have portals where you can invest. You could start from less. But before, it was a $25,000 buy-in minimum,
Right.
okay, to even invest in the stock market. You need to go to somebody who knows what they're talking about. You say, listen, I have this. What can I do? You start small. And that's why the earlier you start, the better. Because you could do something from 16, 17, 18. By the time it's you 30, you'll be amazed at where it is.
Right. And then another thing a lot of people don't understand is if you have your money in the bank, yes, they do have insurance on your accounts. If the bank closed, you would be able to get certain amounts of money back, but it depends on how much money you already have there. So the bank is only allowed to give you back maybe if you have, like, say, $1 million in the bank. The only amount that their maximum of the insurance would give you back is $250,000.
We have to understand with that situation there, the bank or the banking institution that is able to insure you, they only have a certain amount of money.
Right.
So it's impossible for them to insure everybody's money when they only got a fraction
Right.
of what actually exists out there.
Yeah, because most banks they hold the money, they hold like 1/3 of it, maybe, or maybe 25% of it, and then the rest of it they give loans based upon the amounts, giving it to different people, and then hoping they pay the loan back so they
Right.
can replace the money in your account with the money that
They're
you say you have.
but they're using your money to invest.
Right.
There you go.
That's how they benefit.
That's how they make money.
Yeah, that's how they make
That's
money.
how they make their money.
Right.
Okay, because they're in business to make money.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I think on top of all of that, because they work their banking system that way, to be honest, you walk into the money with money already in the bank, right? Because the money in the bank, what banks are supposed to be doing is just purchasing your promissory notes. That's what banks are. They're just a purchaser of promissory notes. So because they're purchasing the promissory notes from you, your signature has more money in it than anything the bank has initially. The only reason why the bank exists is so that they can issue government paper promissory notes to you. That is supposed to be legal tender. That's what they deem legal tender, so that's what it is. It's not actually paper. So your money is credit. That's what money really is. It's the credit to say that you are able to come back and get more money at a later time and then pay them back the governmental paper promissory notes that you have. Initially, if you were to get a loan to buy a house and you are paying off your loan in promissory notes, you don't really own your home. You never own your home at the end of it anyway, because what is happening is you're promising to pay them back with the money that you're promising to pay them back initially. So you'll never own your home. It's like a rat chasing his tail or a dog chasing his tail. They'll never get it. But, it's the appearance of having it.
Okay, so why after your loan you getting a deed or a title to say that you own it?
You're getting a deed or a title, but you don't have an allodial title or a allodial deed.
See,
that means it's still.
I was just about to say, when you utilize these terminologies, you got to be clear so those who are listening understand what we're talking about.
A allodial title means that it's owned for generations, and you will have this throughout your family and your lineage forever, right? Now, if you have a title, it just says that, you have it for now until we say, hey, look, we're going to pull this land from under you and then, sell it to somebody else. That's basically what's happening. Because if, say, someone was to be able to come on your property, sit down for 10 years and pay some of the bills saying that they clear up your property, they can quiet your property away from you, right? So that means you don't really have an allodial title. It means you have a temporary title.
But I mean, for people who still may not understand, what do you say it, right? Let's take, for example, you own your home and you have a living girlfriend. That girlfriend now takes on certain bills. Mm-hmm. She has the receipts for those bills. Mm-hmm. If you're after a certain amount of years, you all two decide to split, she can actually take you to court and get a percentage
of your home. Especially if she gets mail there.
Yes.
Once she gets mail there, then that means that now she's officially a part of the home and owns part of it. That's another reason why when you have, say, people coming and renting with you, once they start collecting their mail and everything like that, and they stay there and all that stuff like that, it's hard to move them out, even if they're not paying the rent. You're going to have to go to court.
This is the reason why when you go through the court system, it's actually a tedious process. Mm-hmm. So for those who don't understand the law, who don't understand financial literacy, right, you're going to have a problem with this. So you need, and this is the reason why people need to understand, you have to research. You have to research these things. And if you do not know, go to someone who does know so that they can explain it to you.
Yeah, I think that's what's a lot of times what's lacking. I think pride is a big thing, where people feel like they because I already have this or because I don't have it, if I, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I should know how it works.
I should know how it works.
Right.
And then when the rubber meets the road in situations as expressed, then they realize, oh, I should have done what I did.
Yes.
But we must always remember, knowledge is power.
Yes.
And it gives you power. And whatever knowledge you have cannot be taken away. Nobody can take that away.
Yeah.
So you should go after it. So we, if you need to take courses, in any particular field you want to gain knowledge in. If you want to go to workshops, go do these things. If you want to do self-study, grab a book, read a book. I try to keep abreast by reading at least 3 books a year. Okay, in my field, sometimes I don't make it.
Yeah.
But
hey, life, bro. So
life happens.
It depends on the size.
Yes,
of the book,
that too. Life,
but,
bro.
I think that we need to truly decide we want to change our way of thinking as far as where we want to go with our society as far as financially. Do we want to maintain maintain some of our areas the way they are, okay, that have been that way from the 1960s. Okay, some of our areas ain't changed from the 1960s. And that's because those persons who are living in those areas, okay, don't understand the wealth that they have and how to utilize that wealth to increase. Okay, you see some of the houses still the same, but yet you got,
Rich land.
$30,000 cars
Park in the yard here,
yeah,
right?
And if they were to understand that, if they're paying $300 and something a month for that car, but if they were to take a cheaper car and save $100 a month, okay, or put $200 a month in a retirement savings, they could, for the next 17, 20 something years, that when they retire, they'll be able to move out of that area, live comfortably, because you know what? Retirement costs you money.
Yes.
Right. It does.
Yes.
Retirement costs you money. And so it's important that we understand that the reason why we're in this revolving door is because certain individuals want to keep us that way,
Of course.
but we are our own. We are our biggest roadblock in that quagmire.
Well,
we are the biggest roadblock.
I agree with that we are our own worst enemy because we're in the area of information now. There was a time when, back in the day when I wanted to know something, go and do some research. I had to go to the library.
Yeah.
Go and sit down inside there and read these books or check a book out and go and, and deal with that. Or if you have family or friends who may have something, some of these books, you go and you borrow them to go and learn what's going on. It's long before a YouTube or a Facebook or ever existed. But now, just about anything that you truly want to learn, you can go and type that in.
Yep.
And you can watch that.
Yeah.
YouTube, TikTok, you can follow people who are giving you certain information, and you can actually even purchase courses, as he's speaking about, online to learn about these things.
Yeah.
Okay? Or just simply walk into a physical location, because sitting down in front of somebody is going to be better for you because you can ask the questions that you really want to ask uninterrupted.
There you go.
True.
Okay? One-on-one, uninterrupted. And now something can be tailor-made for you.
Right.
Versus just a broad stroke.
Especially because, human beings have their own experiences. So if you could learn from another human being's experience as opposed to just reading it in a book, most of the times you will actually learn their hands-on experience, like firsthand. So it's best to actually talk to somebody who knows these things. So if, you have a consultant who is able to teach you financial literacy, it's best to go to someone who knows these things because they've probably had their trials and errors, their failures and successes, and they would be able to tell you exactly what it is that you should do
But also, they can size you up.
Yeah.
See, online, that's difficult.
Yeah.
So somebody walks into your office. You see how they dress. You hear how they speak. Y'all take a little time to get a little history of this individual. You're now like, okay, this structure isn't going to work for them. I need to do this, tweak this, to try to get through to this particular person.
Right.
All right. Everyone learns differently.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know that just online because you might have one set structure set up.
Well, to be honest, sometimes online you can, because I would say online right now, it's the best way because, I'm in technology. So I have to, go with the technology route. So if you have something where you can actually see this person, you don't really have to watch them walk into a room all the time. You can watch them dress the way they dress online, like on a Zoom or something. You get them on Zoom. You see what they dress in. You see what kind of things they like to wear. On top of that, you get to ask them pertinent questions on exactly what they do with their finances. And then you can tell exactly what this person wastes their money on as opposed to actually putting their money into to invest into things, because 90% of the people don't know what a LLC is, a trust is. No one knows that, more contracts that are made are valued towards business entities rather than personal human being contracts. So if you have a contract with a personal human being, which like the bank does, 90% of the time they would give more value to a business entity, and they're actually able to give more contractual leeways to business entities than actual human being interactions. So if you don't know these things, when you go to the bank, you don't go as a business, you go as a personal entity. And you, as a business owner, you can actually say, okay, hey, I'm going to default on this because my business doesn't have enough assets or not liquid enough to pay off these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to close this business down, change the business name and all that other stuff. And then guess what? You can go right back to the bank with another business, and then you can start over from scratch. As a personal person, you will go into the bank, sign these things and whatnot. Now that's tied to you forever.
Yes.
Because you're a person, right? So, and then dealing with you personally is going to be more harsh on your credit score as opposed to a business entity. See what I'm saying?
I agree 100%, and this is the reason why the whole financial literacy conversation is so important. But my thing is, everything doesn't work for everyone. So this is the reason why you have different avenues and outlets. So what might work for you, better for you, may not work better for that other person. And this is the reason why you have those things. So for those who want to step in and sit down and speak to someone personally, then that's what you do. For those who want to do the online situation, then that's what you do. But for the people who have these kinds of things going on, they actually would have those things set up as well. So you can come straight in, or we can do Zoom or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so there are different things that can happen or work for these particular situations. So whatever that person is comfortable with, they can go and deal with. You know what I mean? It's just better that way. Now, so Mr. Dean, what would be your advice to somebody who wants to become financially literate? The steps that you feel that they should take.
I'd say one of the first steps to do, okay, is to, and it's a very simple thing, it's to learn the skill set of budgeting. Okay, learn the skill set of budgeting. And some people think when you say budgeting, whoa,
I got to be an accountant.
I got to be an accountant.
Yeah.
But it's a simple thing. One of the first steps that I would suggest that a person does is track how they spend their money. And that's simple. Because when you spend your money, you get a receipt.
Most places you go, yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Or you can ask for a receipt. Okay?
Most places you go.
Right.
Because it depends on what they're doing, right?
It depends on where they spending the money.
Yeah, but most places you go. Most places you can
Depends
get
on what you spend your money on and what they doing.
Yes.
Right. But if you track your money, okay, let's say you decide you're going to track your money for a week, and you get all your receipts and however much you spend, you actually know where you spend your money.
Yes.
Right.
You can actually see, and it's that simple.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you really don't need a rocket scientist to tell you how you spend
No,
your money.
no,
You
no.
can actually, that's a simple fix.
Yeah.
A simple 1-2. And the minute you sit down and you see where you spending your money, then you can decide whether you want to continue spending your money there or whether you want to divert some of the spending in certain areas. And it's that simple. You need to start at budgeting your finances. You need to realize a long time ago when I had a very good friend of mine, and he came to me and he said, Keith, who do you work for? Right? And I was working at the airlines then. Right? And I gave the airline name, you know, and he says no. I says, who do you work for? And so I gave the airline's parent company's name.
Yeah,
Right? And he says no. And I said, so I sat and I think he says, Keith, you work for you.
Yeah.
You work at these
right,
places,
yes, but you work
but
for
you.
Yeah.
So I think we need to understand that we work for ourselves.
Right.
Okay? When you go to get a job, you sign a contract. That's an agreement.
Yeah.
that they have with you. They are paying you for your services.
Services, yes.
You are a business.
Yes, yes.
Okay? You are a business. They are paying you for your services. How you deal with that money that they pay you with is the same way any business should be dealing with their money.
Right.
So when you get your paycheck, okay, you want to be as frugal with that as possible so that you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. If you have a child, and we have so much single parent families today, but once again, here's how the family literacy helps society on the whole. Well, two of the biggest reasons for divorce is finance and communication, right? But if everybody is financially literate, if in the home, okay, if we're starting to teach our children, or before they come together, before the parents meet, if they are financially literate and they're sitting down, drinking and talking or doing whatever, and they're talking about finance,
Right.
then they can be on the same page. And so if they decide to get together, they can be on the same page and they can be communicating in the home. So you have more communication in the home about finance.
Yeah.
So you're killing two of the major areas that are causing divorce and causing our society and our young men to be without fathers in the home.
Right.
So financial literacy plays a role in keeping our society together. So what we have to do is, once we decide now that if we can sit down and do our budget, okay, as our business,
Yeah.
as our personal business, then we can now, the goal that we want to achieve, if we want to send our kids, we want to send our child to college, okay, you don't have to start saving when he in grade 6 or grade 10. We can start saving when he in grade 1.
Or from birth.
Okay?
Right.
From birth. Put there are products out there at the banks have that gives you substantial interest, okay, that you can actually save. If you start at 0, you don't have no savings, and you start at your child at year 1, you could probably clear at least, you could probably have, by the time he's 17, 18, good $140-something thousand.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what's out there.
Yeah.
Now, if people don't know that, okay, and you're probably only saving what? Let's say if you decide that happens, I used to, in my talks to individual, I think by saving $100, you're saving $100 a week. If you save $100 a week, that's 52 weeks in a year. That's $5,200
right.
annually. Okay? Now, $100 a week, you may say, oh, where can I find $100 a week? But if the two of you put in $50,
That's 50 each, right?
That's $100.
Yeah,
that's
that's $100, yes.
Now you blow $50 easy. We be blowing $50
On
easy.
lunch,
Right.
You know what I mean?
on drinks.
Right.
Yes.
Easy. So once again, we'll have to change our mindset. Once again, we'll have to change our lifestyles. But we have to first start with looking at how we're spending our money.
Yeah.
And
You-
consider us a business.
You put that's so much meat in that whole situation just now, right?
Right.
But yes, we definitely need. So people need to understand. Yes, we have to look at ourselves as a business, and it's not what you make; it's what you do with what you make. Okay, these are the important things. Also, when you are thinking about coming together as a unit, the important things that you need to focus on is, I always talk about communication.
Right.
On the show, communication, effective communication is the foundation, right? But how are you getting into a family and none of you are financially literate? How do you run a household if you all are not financially literate? Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. You don't need to go to college to become financially literate. You don't need a degree to be financially literate.
Right.
Okay? Starting off with the simple concept of budgeting. Understanding that, going back to a word that he utilized earlier in the show, sacrifice. If you sacrifice now, you can live that life that you want to live later. But we are poor because we want to look rich. We want to live rich.
Most black people.
Not understanding that the people who have that real paper, they went through a lot of sacrifices with the trusts, with the LLCs, whatever, so that the family can have this money and this lavish lifestyle. But that takes time. That takes savings. That takes investment.
Right.
And then you get to that particular point. I could remember some years back, Mark Zuckerberg, he had a baby shower for him and married or
Yeah,
whatever.
he's married.
Okay, right. So they had a baby shower, right? And when they showed the photos of the baby shower, you would think this is someone who's living in Baytown.
Right.
Who? No, I wouldn't even say that. I'm saying that they didn't have enough money.
Right.
Right. Because I ain't talking about those who trying to do this theme, that, and spending, going and getting a loan, whether it's from people or from the bank to go and try to get this done. I'm just saying that if you looked at the setup, because it was a small gathering, couple of things. If that cost $100, $200, that was a lot. Okay, but he is evaluated in the billions.
Yeah.
Right.
So this goes to show the importance of stuff. This child ain't gonna remember none of this.
None of it at all.
None.
Yeah.
They ain't know this happened. Why are you wasting all your money on that? Why do you feel that you have to get the newest, latest kicks when they come out? Why do you feel like you need to have $300 to $500 weave in your hair?
Right.
How does that benefit you? Okay? So we need to, when we talking about financial literacy, we need to understand the importance of money, the importance of utilizing money, how we need to utilize this money to work for us. Because the thing about it is, you have people who would have been making less than some. Gradually and eventually they ended up opening a business and they become multimillionaires. Why? Because they knew what to do with that little money what they had. Other people had more, and now they're sleeping on somebody's couch.
Well, what really he was talking about it was a key factor of debt management, right? So when you're doing debt management and all that stuff, you have to make sure that your debts don't outweigh what you make. So if you have more debt than you have coming in, then that's where you're going to fail.
Yeah, you're a liability instead of an asset.
Right. So with Mark Zuckerberg, yes, he's worth billions of dollars, but that's only billions of dollars in assets. He doesn't have that in paper. Most wealthy people don't have that in paper currency. They have it in what they own.
This is what people need to understand, because you're speaking on the topic. People need to understand what net worth is.
Right.
There you go.
So explain net worth so they can understand about the fact of only having this paper in assets.
Right. So your net worth would be everything that you have that is something of value. So you can have property, you can have businesses, you can have intellectual properties, you can have different things like that, all under contract in an LLC or a business, and all of that would be deemed as your asset, collateral, right? So you can go to a bank and tell them, hey, look, I have this much assets under management. I would like to borrow against this, that, and that. And once they see the value is what it is, then they can give you money based on the fact that, hey, you have this amount of stuff. You can always pay us back. We don't really need to worry about you paying us back.
But you also have to add in the debt, because to get to net worth, you have to also add in the debt.
Yeah.
Because whatever you have to pay out has to be deducted from these assets to
Right.
give you a proper and correct
So that'll be
valuation.
your gross, and then your net would be what you have in profit afterwards.
Right, and so that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah.
So it's not just what you own,
Right.
because what you own is fine, but you still got to pay bills.
Right.
Whether it's your light bill, your mortgage, this, that, the next thing. So now you have to deduct those things from there.
Yeah. So if you make
to get to your net worth.
Yeah.
But so people, and this is the reason why if you look online and you Google certain people and they say net worth, you'll see different amounts, because some don't do the calculations properly.
Right.
All right, just to make sure that they could beef up what it is they actually say that they're worth.
The same issues Donald going through now.
Yeah, the same issues Donald Trump is going through right now, because they've been saying that he's been committing fraud for all these years based on how much he was evaluating his properties versus what they actually are worth and whatnot and all that. But with Mark Zuckerberg, I'll go back to him, because with him, he's worth $1 billion, but he only pays himself $1 a year or something like that, right? Now, even though he pays himself $1 a year, he doesn't really spend high amounts of money in clothing, in cars, and houses and stuff like that. Now, maybe his houses
Millions of dollars,
would
yes.
be millions of dollars.
Yeah, right.
But his closet is just one rack of just T-shirts the same color, jeans the same color, and he has probably like 4 blazers that he puts with those, right? His car is a Prius, so he's not really getting Benzes and stuff like that, and all these different drop-top Lamborghinis, because the maintenance on these things is high. So if you have a high maintenance car that you have to pay insurance on of maybe about $4,000 a month, then it's going to be kind of hard for you to keep track of how much money you're going to pay out when you could just pay. Maybe in the States you'll be paying $5 to $10 on certain insurances for a Prius or a small car,
Yeah.
right? That's probably going to be just like a solar car or
Yeah.
maybe even a electric powered car. So these things you don't even have to pay gas on, right?
Serving the same purpose, right?
I would- I-
Get to and from,
Right,
right?
and that's another thing too, because I would advise people to find a mentor, whether you can afford to go and walk into a consultant's office or whether you just go in online. Find a mentor, right? When you study the people who truly understand money, they will tell you how they operate maneuver for years. They'd be riding inside a old beat up breakdown vehicle. They in real estate, right? But they'll have one of their friends rent one of their apartments and they sleep in the front room on the couch or whatever, have a bad thing up there, and they maneuver with it. These people evaluated at say $100 million.
Right.
But that's in assets.
Yeah.
That's not in this money situation. So now when they become liquid, which may take years,
Right.
then they can say, well, all right, well, let me go and enjoy this money that I've built up, okay? But if you, as you were saying, keep on just chasing this paper, okay, so that you could look a certain way, then you're going to always be broke. So people don't understand when they see someone riding around and something, they're like, but I thought he had money. Yeah, but what are they doing with that money?
Right.
Because when you make money, you should always say, let me take this particular portion and invest it.
Yeah.
Whether this is savings to invest for college fund or retirement fund or stocks and bonds or whatever, but you take a portion of that to go and do that. Maybe not go to the club,
Yeah.
Every
Not
week.
go to club, right?
okay, and go and pop a bottle to impress people who don't like you, who don't know you,
Right.
most who don't even care. Okay, maybe you don't want to do that.
Right.
Okay, maybe you don't need to go and purchase food from whether it's from the fast food restaurants
Yeah.
or from these restaurants to go and sit down and eat and whatever, right? Every week.
Yeah, or buy Versace shades
Right.
or something for
you
no reason.
Right. You understand? To walk, and a lot of people don't even know you walk in no house.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
don't care.
Okay. Like, how does this benefit you? See, okay, whenever we're going to be looking at money, we need to look at it and say, what can this do for me? What is the point and purpose of me spending this money? So you'll have people who own jets or private planes, yachts, and whatnot. They ain't keeping that to themselves.
No.
They
have
purchase
no-
them to make money for them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
to rent them. Right.
You understand? Okay. So we have to understand why we're doing what it is that we're doing. And once you start to do that, you can find yourself set. But
Right.
a lot of our problems is that we feel like as soon as we get a job, okay, good example of ignorant people with money. Good times, right? So let's say the father is supposed to get a job. The son's supposed to get a job. Like this lined up. As far as they're concerned, they have this.
Right.
They won't go to dinner.
Right.
Boss and ball, you ain't got
Yeah,
this money yet, though.
Yeah.
You ain't make the first paycheck.
Spend $500.
Okay, now come to find out the job ain't come through.
Bro.
So now you put yourself further in debt because you want to go and enjoy and celebrate. That's not even something to celebrate.
Right.
Okay, you signed the contract. Yes. Okay, at least finish the contract or get to a certain point before you even think about trying. You know what I mean? And then even in that, look at this is where the budgeting comes in. Look at what you're making. Okay, how much does it make sense to truly spend out of this?
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that we need to really refocus our energies on how we, like you said, the why. The why. If your why isn't positive, you need to make it positive. Whatever your end game is, whatever your goal is, it has to be a positive influence for you and your family, at the end of the day. It has to have a positive result. And you should be utilizing the tool of money, like we said at the beginning, utilizing that tool to make sure that end game comes to fruition. And the only way that's going to happen is if you begin to manage your money, manage your debt, and recognize the fact. And the reality is that we are living older. We are living at older ages now than before. That is real. That's why every country is looking at its insurance scheme, because people are living older because of technology and science and medicine. You know, what used to kill people and cause people dead a long time ago ain't doing that no more. So people are living old. So you're going to live older. You're going to pass there's a 90% chance you will pass the age of 65. What are you going to be doing? How are you going to be living?
What is your quality of life?
Yes. Do you want to live comfortably?
Right. Yeah.
If that's what you want, you have to start looking at it now. Okay? And it can be done. Even if you start, let's say, if you're 40 years old, okay? If you're 40 years old and you start now to save outside of our national insurance program, if you start to save now and put $200, you know, you should be able to have at least about $60,000. Okay, if you're putting $200 a month, you should have roughly around about $60,000 at the end till you get to 65 when you decide you want to chill. That's an extra 65 outside your NIB, and we gotta get on that frame of mind of NIB, because the NIB, you know, they're going through their insolvency issues, as well as
too much corruption,
as well as their payouts.
Right.
Okay, as well as their payouts are not, you know, they average between 300 to 600. That's the average. Some are more, some are less.
Right.
Okay, 300, 600. When your light bill
is $600, $800, $1,000 a month now. Yes, that ain't gonna be enough.
No, that ain't gonna be enough.
Yeah.
So you have to start looking towards retirement.
But see, but this is why I was touching on the investment, because a lot of people don't understand how to invest. If you're going to go into debt to make money. That's what people don't understand. Right. Debt is to make money, okay? Not to sink you into quicksand, you know. Mm-hmm. So you go and you get yourself a loan for a home. Get yourself a loan for a duplex, for a triplex.
There you go.
Okay? You living in one, and your rent from this other one or two is actually paying this debt down. Okay, so by the time as you reach a certain age and that's paid off, that's now your retirement benefit, because this money is coming in every single month. That's why I mentioned the people who would purchase the private jet or the boat or whatever. Right. If you're going to go into debt for something that's going to make you money. Let's take, for example, the taxi driver, the delivery driver, who might go to the bank to go and get a loan to go get a nice ride.
Right.
They're utilizing that though.
Right.
To make money every day. Mm-hmm. All right. Even if it's to the point where they can't do it anymore, now they can rent this vehicle out, you know.
Right, they can.
And still get themselves some money coming in each month. So let your debt make money for you. Don't just go and get a loan to say you're going shopping, man.
But then some people, you know, they don't know the difference between good debt and bad debt, right? So good debt would be you taking, say, out a little loan to purchase items to sell, right? Because you know you're going to make the money back.
Or you hope you're going to. Well, not in life guaranteed, right? But you hoping that you're going to make this money back. At least you try it. At least you try it.
Or invest in making a business that way the money would come back.
Right.
Other than actually going ahead and, say, buying a Rolex or doing something crazy like that, buying a fancy car, but knowing that this fancy car, people can't service that car here. You know, a lot of people buy Benzes here, but you know that there's not really many people that fix Benzes or be able to control.
So it's going to cost you an awful lot of money to deal with that if you find someone to do it. But also you're going to have to be purchasing these parts to come in. Yeah.
Right. And you got to wait for months.
Yes.
Yeah, and all these potholes, man, listen, you're going to break your car up in months. It's not going to be years or anything like that. In months, it's going to be broken up. So you might as well either get a truck or something that the roads actually, you know, require you to have.
That's why I got my big Jeep. But I ain't trying to get the big new, because they can't take it either. They can't take the chafing. They can't take, not the Bahamas roads, no sir. They can't take the chafing.
So the one thing I found too, though, is once you get on that path of financial literacy, it can become an adrenaline junkie.
But if you're gonna, but if you're going to be,
begin to love it.
but if you're going to be addicted to something, you don't think that's something good to be addicted
This is
to?
what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. You know, once you start learning to manage your money and you seeing how your money is making money for you, okay, how your money is making money for you, then you become excited. You become, pumped up, and so you begin to want to learn more, and you begin to want to share more, and you begin to want to have your kids get involved in it. Have your kids get involved in the program because you gonna want them to enjoy some of the blessings that you have received. So one of the key things, like I said, is to just get started.
Yes.
Just get started. And once you get started and you start seeing how it's going to benefit you, you will become so excited about it that, listen, you just want to make sure that everybody you come in contact with, start getting on that building.
But Bahamians are scared, I think. They're scared of the uncertainty of having to work for themselves. So if it's something that is allowing them to work for themselves to make certain amounts of money, they're not going to go ahead and do something like that only because they feel like, okay, this is not a sure paycheck every week and I got this and I got that to pay. But the point is to minimize how many things you got to pay every month or every week and everything like that. But most of them want to actually go ahead and do island luck.
But this is what we need to.
Right.
Okay, but this is what we need to understand, right? Because everyone is not going to be an entrepreneur. Everyone was not made to be an entrepreneur. Because if everybody was a boss, there would be no workers, right? You have situations where, and this is also a part of financial literacy. While you are working, you are saving, you are investing. So you're still working, You could be working for government, you could be working for the hotel, you could be working for whatever for 30, 40 years. But what did you do with the money that you made during that time? If you made certain that you were investing some money into something, get shares in different businesses, startups and whatnot from the ground up, if it looked like it making sense to you, okay? Buy some shares on the stock market, and or just government stocks and bonds, which don't fall, right? Okay, so you go and you invest this money, and you keep on putting $100, $200 a month in this from you start working. If you've been working for 20 years, 30 years, you still was working, which means you paid all your bills.
Right.
But when you retired, you have a serious lump sum of money. On top of that, of course, you want to make sure that you're insured, because that's also financial literacy, and that also could bring forth generational wealth. But you got to teach and train your children how to utilize this money when it does come to them.
Yeah, man. J.S. Johnson and those used to sell shares back in the day. And then when they sell these shares, they used to give you some dividends here and there. And dividends is very important. A lot of people don't understand or know what dividends are. But most companies give them as incentives for you investing in the company. And every quarter or every year annually, they would give you a certain check in the mail saying, hey, this is what we got. I think it's either common shares or preferential shares.
You can definitely deal with that with the insurance companies, because depending on the life insurance policy that you get, you can get one with dividends, and each year you get
money back.
You have money back, and that's sitting there.
Yeah.
So if you decided not to touch it, when you go back next year, it's an additional on top of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you could take this money and say, okay, let me go and invest it, instead of going and spinning on island luck, or going partying and balling inside the club, or going and taking a trip.
And people wonder why, when they hear that these actors and actresses and all the rich people have these $1 million life insurances. Why? It's because of the dividend payout at the end of the year. You get $1 million life insurance. You know that dividend payout is.
That's some serious
You can
money.
live off the dividend payout.
And that's what people don't understand, because your life insurance policy itself can be a trust.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so but you have to understand how these things work, because this is for those who aren't financially literate, this is the reason why you could have entertainers of all ilks and areas, and you hear that, they got this $20 million contract, there's $100-something million contract, and then 10, 15, 20 years from now they broke.
Yeah.
Why? Because they did not know how to manage it, because you didn't get that as a lump sum. You're getting paid every week, every month, depending on how things are set up for you and structured. And if you're not making sure that you're budgeting your money properly, all is going down the drain.
Well, I'm going to give people $1 billion worth of game now, right?
Let's do that.
So you can actually make your own bank with insurance policies, right? So if you want to build your own bank, most Bahamians have 14 aunts and uncles and stuff like that from the family island and all these things, and they have about 50-some cousins. All they need to do is actually just make insurance policies for them as they're young and growing up, and as they're getting older, those insurance policies, they're not going to increase the pay that they have to pay to keep those policies. You're going to have, what, a $50 policy as you get older, but say as a child, you're probably going to have like a $20 policy, maybe $15 policy, and you're going to keep that $15 policies all the way up until you're 100, right? As you pay on this, it's going to be making money over a period of time in dividends, and on top of that, if you have, I think it's a whole life policy, all of these things, they kind of have their own savings plan inside of it, right? If all of you have all of this is all going to build up to your assets. You build a corporation around all of these different things, and you say, hey, this is how much assets we have under management, because those bonds, because people don't know that insurance policy is a bonds, right? So all these bonds you have, you can actually borrow against this. And as you borrow against this, you can actually pay for homes and everything like that, pay off these debts easy over time. And then once you're paying off all of these stuff, you can start businesses, and you can have a set of family just managing the assets. You can have a corporation built off of this or make up off of this. You have a director, you have management team, you'll have all these things, and all these aunts, uncles, and mothers and fathers owning all of these different things. They can have all of their children's homes there. If they get married, they don't have to give their homes back to the wife who leaves them. They can actually keep those houses and all those things
because it's
for
in
their
a trust.
children, because it's in a trust and it's in a
Yeah.
corporation. They will never have to give out all of these things. Your family will be wealthier for it, and you will end up being in the billions, if not trillions, very soon.
And once you know how to properly budget, you
Yeah.
can live off of your dividends from these things, okay? Not having to spend, see, because a lot of people don't know how to manage this paper. So if you might get $20,000 a year, $50,000 a year. You know how much people working and don't make that a year?
No, they don't.
And they still got to pay bills?
Yep.
Okay, but you're getting this in your hand, okay, each year. And all you got to do once you've learned how to manage this, you can live pretty well. If you guys enjoy the conversation so far, please like, click, share, subscribe. Okay. Final thoughts as we wrap up, as we close up. What would you want the people to know and understand about financial literacy for what it is they got to do? I'd like for Mr. Dean to end.
Okay. All right. So what I would like them to do is I'd like them to go out there. There's enough knowledge for everybody. You can go online. You can search up all these different topics that we talked about on the show, and you can check out insurance policies. You can check out different things with trusts. You can check out different things with bonds. What it is to be a debtor and what it is to be an actual what do they call it? A creditor. So you can be a creditor,
Right.
or I think there's a guarantor of the trusts. So you can look up all these different things, find out the meanings, and then you'll be able to put it together.
Just don't want to. First thing I would just like to let everybody know is, one, you are your business. You need to look at yourself as your business and decide whether you want your business to fail or not. And if you want your business to succeed, then there are certain things you're going to have to do.
Yes.
Okay? You're going to have certain things you have to do mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. Okay? And so once you grasp that concept that you are your business and you're responsible for the success and failure of your business, then I think what happens is you now decide you have a reason why, and your why has to be powerful. If your why isn't as strong as your fears, then you will never succeed.
Yeah.
But the more you recognize that you are your business, then you will have a great why. And your children You will now want more for your children. You now want best for your children. And the more better you do for yourself, your children would see the benefits of it. And like I say, just get started. Just get started with that simple thing of tracking your expenses and seeing where your money goes. Because once you see that you're seeing that 20% of your money going to Kentucky Fried Chicken with that little piece of chicken, okay?
Yeah.
Then you can realize, hold up, man, I may as well go and buy a whole chicken, cut that up,
and have a meal for a couple of days,
Right.
versus this one thing where I get.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So I'm saying, recognize that you are your business and that you are responsible for your success and failure, and then invest in you.
makes sense. Okay, gentlemen, before we leave, give them your business information, your contact information, so they know how to get in contact with you to get more information about this. If they want to pay to get some consultation, okay, from the gentleman, from some gentlemen who have a pretty good idea as to what to do.
And we are a business consultancy and personal development company. So my initial consultation with anybody is free for an hour, so you can call me up, 808.
Hold on, listen now, back up. You had the man say, right, the initial consultation is free, FREE, and you can contact him at
808-9806. You call me. And the reason why I do that is because I know how hard it is for individuals to start the process, okay? And I'm just here to ensure that we, as in the Bahamas, get as many generational wealth builders on that path as humanly possible. Whether if you don't come back to me or not, I'll be still following up with you, making sure you're on your path.
Right.
You ain't got I just want to make sure you succeed and that we change the dynamics of this country around.
Man, listen, that's awesome, man. Brother.
Well, I do financial consultations and I also do technical consultations. So you can reach me at 525-8414 or you can reach me at 393-7456.
All right, so thank you, gentlemen, for coming through. Financial literacy is not a one-show thing that you could discuss in a few minutes and get, through to the deep nitty-gritty. It's just not possible, all right? So I thank you guys for coming through, touching on these things, leaving nuggets for people who can, so they can go and research, all right? Delve deeper into this area. And if you can't, reach out. I mean, if you find it difficult to do it on your own, please reach out to any of these two brothers, and they will assist you. All right, so tune in next week, same time, same channel. Let's talk.
So let's talk. In this society where we're stereotyped, men are always hated, always wrong, and can never do right. That's what the world told us, and everybody agrees while we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Now brothers, let me ask you this, who's there for you? When it's time to air it out and talk, brother, who's hearing you? They already paint a picture that is us against everyone else, but I'm telling you, don't be against yourself.
So let's talk. If I'm here for you and you're here for me, strength and unity. So let's talk. If I am around, I'm gonna build you up, never break you down. So let's talk. When they ask you, what can a brother do for me? So let's talk. You can help me be the best man I can be.